as fault timers. So there's a couple fault conditions that are going to happen on the machine. One is tied around the limit switch for the carriage as well as the pressure switch in the carriage. So carriage failed return is currently set to 10 seconds. So at the top of the machine there is a limit switch that tracks whether the carriage is all the way up or not. So when the carriage is told to retract, if it takes more than 10 seconds for that switch to be made, you will get a fault indicating the carriage failed return. Usually what it is the timer is set too low, or you have a possible failure on the limit switch, or the flag itself is not making the limit switch. Reverse of that is the carriage failed to close. Again, it's set for 10 seconds. When the carriage is driven down into a mold or purge plate, if it takes more than 10 seconds for the pressure switch to make, then you get a fault indicating that the carriage failed to come down onto the mold. Typically what that might be is if it's not working, you might have to adjust a setting on the pressure switch. Maybe it's tripping too high and you're not hitting that system pressure. So for example, maybe the system is only generating 1500 psi, but the switch will trip at 1700 psi, thus will never trip. But that's a possible reason. If you don't want this fault to happen, you can set it to 0 on either one, and when the time's set to 0, the fault is disabled. Another option we have is hopper empty warning and hopper empty fault. Again, if it takes more than 30 seconds for the shot size limit switch to be reached after recovery is started, we'll get what's known as a warning, which is just an indicator up to the operator that the barrel is or the hopper is possibly out of material. You also have an option after 30 seconds more after the warning. If it still hasn't seen the limit switch, it will indicate there's a fault and would stop the cycle. If again you set these to 0, we'll disable these faults from happening.